this year, which is obviously a lot different than it's been in previous years. And I think with that, it's it's a clean slate for everyone, and it's a great opportunity for one of the guys that maybe wasn't a huge part of the season to put their hand up and have a chance to win the big prize at the end of the year. And it's also a great opportunity for some of the guys that have had great years to sort of rubber stamp the season a little bit and end on a really, really positive note. So it's I think there's still a lot to play for this week.
All right, we'll go right into questions. We're going to start with Shed here at the front.
Yeah, good afternoon, Rory. You mentioned the different formats here. Are we now at the quote-unquote best format? Or if we're not, how would you change it maybe?
I didn't, I may be part of the minority. I didn't hate the starting strokes. I thought that the player that played the best, during the course of the season should have had an advantage coming in here. But, the majority of people just didn't like the starting strokes. They didn't, whether it were players or fans. I was on the pack when we were trying to go through that, and really it was just a way to try to simplify the advantage that the top players were going to get over the course of the week, instead of Steve Sands doing calculations on a whiteboard. So, and then but you could also argue that if it was starting strokes this week, Scotty with a 2-shot lead, it probably isn't enough considering what he's done this year and the lead that he has in the FedEx Cup going into this week. So, and look, there was a lot of other stuff on the table. Match play was on the table, and that got canned for this year. That might be brought back up in the conversation going into next year or the year after. I think it's just hard for the players to reconcile that we play stroke play for every week of the year, but then the season-ending tournament is going to be decided by match play. I think it was just hard for the players to get their heads around that. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be on the table again. Who knows? But look, it's a 72-hole stroke play event, and that's what we play week in and week out, and that's what's going to determine the winner. So. I don't know if it's the best format, but it's the one that we have for this week.
Good. All right, Scott.
Rory, obviously the schedule came out today for next year, and now there's 9 signature events. There'll be 5 signature events, 4 majors in 4 months, and as Doug was saying, 5 in a 6-week stretch from the Masters to the PGA. Is it possibly too much? Are there negatives to having that much, or is it all positive, do you think?
I mean, I think it's all positive. When you have it's, golf really, it builds through the January, February, March months, and obviously, golf gets a huge, popularity spike or whatever through Augusta, and then to try to keep that momentum going through, the next few weeks through the PGA, US Open. I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a quite a bit of a workload for the players to play that much golf in that stretch. But I think it's not as if we're having to travel halfway around the world to do it. These are all pretty easy stops on the East Coast for the most part. And but I think it'll be good. It'll be a good schedule, and I think if the tour and the top players get off to a good start, I think that builds momentum for the tour, and I think the tour can just sort of ride that momentum through that stretch.
As a quick follow, you aren't afraid to skip some signature events this year. Do you see yourself possibly skipping some in the future just because the schedule is going to turn out that way?
Yeah, look, I'll always look at the schedule at the start of the year and see what best fits me and my life and everything else that I sort of do, whether it's with family or other opportunities that I'm pursuing outside of golf. So I'll always look at that. But yeah, I'll always choose a schedule that best fits me. And this year that meant skipping a few signature events. I might skip less next year. I might skip the same amount. I don't know, but it's all just the luxury of being a PGA Tour player is we are free to pick and choose our schedule for the most part, and I took advantage of that this year, and I'll continue to take advantage of that for as long as I can.
Okay, Dylan, go ahead.
I feel like the narrative for a while has been just how good guys are at a young age, and there was, the best players in the world seem to be getting younger, and that kind of seems to have stalled out. Like if you look at the list of the best players in the world, it's largely guys in their late 20s through late 30s. And you might be the worst guy to ask because you were good at such a young age, but I'm curious if you have a take on why that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think experience is a big part, of it. I think being in different situations in golf tournaments and different scenarios, as you go through your career, you're going to experience those. And I think by going through those experiences only makes you better. And I think guys, I've had to go through some tough experiences to get to the other side and be better because of it. And I don't think look, I was good at a young age, but I don't think I still hopefully haven't hit my golfing potential, but I think I'm a way better player in my 30s than I was in my 20s. And I think that's just to do with the experiences that I've had along the way. And I think you could say the same thing for a lot of the guys that, Scotty's not, he's certainly not old. He's 29. He's not 21, 22, but some of the younger guys. But, I think just the experience of what he's been through over the past, 5 or 6 years has gotten him to this point where, he's, inarguably the best player in the world. And I think he would say that's because of all the experiences that he's had up until this point.
Kathy?
2 questions. One, since you've played multiple formats here, do you feel the starting strokes better? Is starting strokes is something you like better? Do you feel you're at a disadvantage for this year? And will you play any less hard because you don't have a starting strokes, or because the money has changed?
No, I certainly won't. I don't think I ever started. I don't think I ever started this tournament in the starting strokes era at 10 under, in the number 1 spot. So, if anything, I'm in a better position than I have been the last few years. So that's a nice thing. But no, I think with the format change or with whatever the money it is, we're still playing for the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup, and that's enough to play as hard as possible for.
Okay.
And the other was
sorry.
What places in Northern Ireland did you take your green jacket? And how many people were trying it on, and were they mystified and amazed? And what was the experience like for them?
Yeah, I haven't taken. I've only been back to Northern Ireland twice since. I was there for 3 or 4 days to visit my parents the week after Augusta, and then I was there for the week of the Open Championship at Portrush, and that's it. So I've still got it for another, whatever it is, another 7 months, 8 months. So I'll have a few more opportunities for people to see it, and maybe not try it on, but at least they can see it.
Adam?
Along those lines, Rory, how many Masters flags do you think you've signed already?
A lot. I've no idea. It's been a lot, but I do know that they had 1,100 extra. They had 1,100 left in the merchandise facility at the end of the week, and we took all 1,100. So, but it's been a lot. But I'll never get sick of signing them. I've waited 17 years to sign that flag in the middle, and I will never complain about doing that.
You wouldn't do it in the middle, right?
No.
If you were a Korn Ferry graduate to be, or someone in 61 to 100, how would you look at the schedule for next season?
I would look at someone like Jacob Bridgman or Andrew Novak or some of these guys that were in a similar position to them this year and being able to play their way into signature events with good play. And feel like I've got an opportunity to do some great things.
Good.
Okay, have you had, what's one thing that you've learned about Brian Rolab from your early interactions with him?
So I hadn't met him up until last week, and I was able to spend a good 90 minutes with him, just talking through everything to do with the tour, and what's the whole thing over the past 3 or 4 years, and what the future looks like. And I like him. I like him a lot. I like that he doesn't come from golf. I like that he doesn't have any preconceived ideas of what golf should look like or what the tour should look like. I think he's going to bring a fresh perspective to everything, and I think he wants to move pretty quick. So I'm excited.
Okay, Bob.
Hey, Rory. Obviously, you have quite the hectic schedule through the rest of the year, but could you see yourself going to Augusta not as Masters prep, but just to enjoy it as a Masters champion? And how do you think that might hit you, having won it, going back there, not Masters week, but just to maybe
Yeah,
with your dad?
I've already planned a couple of trips with some friends or some members beforehand. Yeah, it'll probably be a little emotional. I've planned one trip that my dad's going to come on as well. My dad wasn't there for when I won, so I think that'll be a cool moment to be with him. And it'll be emotional. Like, I still get a little emotional thinking about it, So, but it'll be really cool, to go there. I've a lot of members there that have become good friends over the years, and to be able to enjoy that with them, and play the golf course again, and sort of reminisce over the good and the bad that happened over the course of the week. It's that'll be really cool.
Is there one thing that stands out to you, or that you always focus on when you've been non-Masters time, that's just completely different, that you really enjoy? Obviously, not worrying about sight lines or preparing for the tournament.
Just play. It's a beautiful place to play golf. It's if you stop to actually look around and look at the plants and look at the trees and hear the birds, and it's a beautiful place to spend your day and to spend your night, and go down to the wine cellar and pick a bottle of wine and enjoy, all that stuff. It's like, it's one of the coolest experiences you can have in golf. And I always said that some of my most favorite times at Augusta were when it wasn't the Masters tournament. So, but it'll be lovely to, next time go there and go up to the champions locker room and put on my green jacket and, feel like I belong.
All right, guys, we're just going to wrap up here with Doug.
I didn't think they had birds. I thought they just piped that music in. Do they really?
You'll have to ask Chairman Redley.
Sorry, Beth. A couple more Masters things that are, and I know it's been a while, but I think you still enjoy talking about it. When you had the green jacket on for the first time, and you did press and TV and the Champions Dinner, do you remember what you did with it when you finally took it off at the end of the night? And when's the next time you put it on?
Yeah, I had it. I had it on until, like, I don't think I took it off until I went to bed. So I had it on maybe until 3:30 in the morning or something, and then it's one of those things that, like, I woke up at 7 a.m. I slept for 3 hours. I woke up, and it's one of those moments where it's like, did that actually happen? And you wake up and you see the green jacket, lying over a chair in the bedroom or whatever, like, oh yeah, that did happen yesterday. So, and then, I didn't put it. I don't know. I'm sort of reluctant. I'm reluctant to wear it. It's not as if I wear it a lot. I have it hanging in my wardrobe in a place where I can see it every day. But I don't know. I always thought if I did win the Masters one day, like, I'd never have the thing off. And it hasn't been that way. I haven't worn it as much as I thought I would.
What was the favorite occasion of wearing it? Where did you go? What did you do? AGW dinner probably doesn't count.
No, honestly, there hasn't been anywhere. You know, I went to the Golf Writers Awards in Portrush, and I wore it that night, which was pretty cool. But I really haven't. You also have to get permission every time you wear it, so you know there's a lot of do's and don'ts around it as well.
You don't seem like a guy who asks permission a lot.
I'm a rule follower at heart.
All right, Rory, thank you for the time. Best of luck.
Thank
this week.
you. Huh? To sign them, to give them away, to, you know, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right.